You're living in Germany and you have your next trip abroad planned. Woohoo! But here's a question. Are you actually covered if something happens to you while you're abroad? Most people assume that their German health insurance will fully protect them if something does happen while they're traveling. Well, this is not necessarily always the case. Today we will talk about travel insurance for those who live in Germany and are off traveling the world during their vacation time. This is important to point out because this travel insurance is not for visa purposes. So let's break it down. In this video, we will talk about why should you get travel health insurance, who should get travel health insurance, whether the add-ons that travel health insurance usually offer, like for example, lost luggage claims or cancellation claims make sense, and which providers in Germany are the best for internationals, including an option that is currently 100% free. What? Hey, my name is Jen and I'm from Guatemala.
And mine is Yvonne and I'm German.
And together we're from simplegermany.com, where we create English content to empower internationals to settle into life in Germany more smoothly. So, why should I get travel health insurance?
Well, first of all, you already got it.
Okay.
But why is travel health insurance so important? Because I would argue when at least I'm traveling, I'm a lot more carefree, adventurous, and I do things with less thought. And for example, I cycle without a helmet, which at home I would never do. And I do things that bring a more likelihood of me getting injured than at home, I would argue. Also, I get a lot more tummy sick sometimes while traveling than at home. Pretty much the likelihood of me needing to see a doctor increases while traveling than when I'm at home. At least that's what I think. But it doesn't matter what I think, because the fact is that if you need to see a doctor or a hospital while traveling, bills can get a lot more expensive than you might be expecting, especially in certain countries, for example, the US. And travel health insurance covers you from those expenses. And your regular public German health insurance most likely will not, or just to a very certain limit.
For example, I know that if I have my German health insurance, public health insurance, and I travel to Spain and something happens there, they do accept my German health insurance card. However, the cover that I get is kind of like regulated by what the equivalent of that insurance in Spain would be, and sometimes it covers less than what it would cover here.
Correct.
That's at least what I have read and heard.
Correct. It goes, the cover within the EU with your public German health insurance is what you just said, up to the statutory limit in the country that you're in. And most often, because Germany has such a high standard, that cover is a lot lower than what you would get in Germany. And if you travel outside the EU, you have zero cover, like literally zero cover. So giving a very real life example, when I was in New York City, I tripped on one of those massively high sidewalks and tore my ligament in my ankle.
Ow.
And because I wasn't sure, I wanted to have a check to know what's happening, just to, stop worrying about my swollen foot, my blue swollen foot. So I booked an appointment with a doctor. And alone to see the doctor, I had to pay $500. And then I spent 30 minutes with the doctor and I got an x-ray and like an ultrasound and then one of those prostheses.
Yeah, like a protector, ankle protector thingy.
Exactly. And all of that cost me $2,000, which luckily, A, I had a credit card to pay with. One more reason, I'll never travel without a credit card. And B, I had travel health insurance, which then reimbursed me the $2,000 afterwards.
And I would say this trip to New York was a few years ago.
Yes.
So nowadays, it would probably be a lot more than $2,000.
Yeah.
Maybe.
At the end of the day, the thing about travel health insurance, it is so freaking cheap that it is an absolute no-brainer. So we will talk about providers later on, but you and I, of course, we have travel health insurance. We pay as a couple 30 euros per year for every single trip that we're taking. Like we can take, there's no limited amount of trips that we're taking. And I mean, 30 euros versus nothing happening, and I just spent 30 euros, great. 30 euros versus I need to spend 100 euros, $2,000? Yes.
Yeah, just to clarify, because you said 30 years per year per trip. No, you mean like we pay 30 euros per year for the both of us, and regardless of how many trips we take.
Correct.
Yeah. That's super cheap. I mean, that's like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also, now let's jump into the next category. Who should get travel health insurance? Because we just talked a lot about public health insurance, and of course, they're 100%, it makes sense. But I would even argue it makes sense if you have private health insurance. Now, with private, it always depends what cover one has, because every tariff, every policy is different, right? But a lot of private health insurance include also cover worldwide, which is great. However, I would still get the add-on travel health insurance because by paying 10, 20, 30 years, or even getting it for free, which we'll talk about later on in the video, I would not risk of scratching my deductible that one usually has with private health insurance, and risking to not get money back, because also oftentimes you get like 1 or 2 months of policies back if you don't make any claims, like a no claim bonus, by risking, because I have to hand in bills from abroad, right? Versus I can pay 10, 20, 30 euros and that is covered.
That is super crucial information to know, because I would also say if you have private health insurance, I say, oh, it covers, but the no claim deductible is also something to consider. And again, for 30 euros a year or cheaper, it totally makes sense. Thank you so much. If you're liking Yvonne's insights and her education for us.
It surprises me every time how passionate I can get about insurance. It's crazy, but I just think it's such a no-brainer.
Yes. Anyways, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to give us a like and also subscribe to our channel to always keep up to date with topics like these to help you settle into life in Germany more smoothly. Okay, now to the next point. Like, when I book travel health insurance, okay, I have to when you book travel health insurance, you always talk about all these add-ons that come with it. Like, for example, as we mentioned at the beginning of the video, if your luggage gets a loss claim, if your trip gets canceled, or you need to cancel your trip because you got sick, are all of these add-ons worth it?
So here I would really say it depends on your lifestyle and what kind of trips you book and how you book them. Baggage insurance, a lot of people say it's not necessary because European airlines actually by law already need to refund you a certain amount if something happens to your luggage. Outside of European airlines, that is different, but that's up to you. The cancellation insurance, trip cancellation insurance, highly depends. If you book an expensive trip and pay everything up front, because it's like an all-inclusive package, you might want to consider it. If you just booked the flight and a car and everything else you're going to wing, then there is not so much to refund in case you can't travel, right? So that is really an independent decision. Also, another thing to talk about travel insurance is oftentimes when you book a flight or a car or hotel, there are these upsells in the booking process that want to sell you travel insurance per trip, because that's then only for the trip that you're booking. I don't believe in that, but that's because we travel quite a lot. If you only travel once a year, maybe that makes sense. But if you travel multiple times a year, what's always been the better budget option and just peace of mind, because I only have to think about it once and not every single trip, is getting a 1-year travel insurance package. I mean, the health insurance we're talking about is a 1-year health insurance, and I do add on trip cancellation, and depending on what the package offers, sometimes baggage or not, just because in case we do get sick or injured and we can't travel, then at least I can claim that money back that I already paid. Yeah. So that's just an individual choice, but that's not so necessary as a travel health insurance.
I remember once we traveled to Guatemala and the airline lost my luggage. It didn't arrive. It didn't get lost, but it didn't arrive. And in it, of course, I had my crucial elements like underwear and all my clothes and everything. And we were going to leave the city to travel around the country. And I needed clothes, especially underwear, because I had nothing. So in this case, we were able to buy some essential clothing. And through the airline, we were able to organize the delivery of the luggage to a hotel that was no longer in the city. And then, for example, the travel insurance covered the expenses that we did for buying new clothes, for example.
But that happens once. So I don't think
that happened once in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I don't think it's crucial like the health insurance, because there you never know. And there the cost, I mean, with the luggage, the cost it's capped, right? You know how much your stuff is worth. With health insurance,
you don't know.
I mean, just one quick story. I used to work on cruise ships, and I had a German guest who broke her leg, like an open breakage, just very bad, in Egypt. And I accompanied her to the hospital because she didn't speak English. And there, actually, it was recommended that she would be flown back home to Germany in a special medical transportation because, I mean, her leg was open. She couldn't fit into a normal seat. And have the surgery done in Germany. And all of that was organized and paid for by the travel health insurance.
Wow, imagine if you would need to pay all of that from your pocket. I mean, that's a lot of money, because I could imagine maybe she flew, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
she and her husband.
Yeah, private flight kind of thing. Yeah, so definitely don't gamble for 30 years. So now let's talk about providers that actually... The market is filled with different providers, and we cannot do a market, overview of every provider and everything that they offer. However, we can talk about our experience and the ones that we have used ourselves. And because Yvonne is the travel insurance Booker, again, you're going to tell us which ones have we used and what have you liked and not liked.
Yeah, so we have used Ergo and Allianz, and pretty much I bounce back and forth. I always compare their offer as it stands. And Ergo, we will link we will leave the links in the description below. Ergo offers very easy, purely health travel insurance or travel health insurance, starting if you're single from 10 euros for the entire year. And Allianz Travel is the other one that we have used with the link in the description. There you will get this package that I was talking about travel health insurance, cancellation, trip cancellation insurance, baggage claims, and also in case you need to abort your trip, like the example in Egypt, and fly back home, so that they don't only cover the flight back home, but also like the loss of the trip and all of that stuff. So you compare both. Unfortunately, they are both international insurances, but their websites are only available in German, which is still, I don't understand that. But of course, if you need to have the emergency hotline there, they will most likely speak English. But if you would like to have English 100%, actually Getsafe, which we've been talking about a lot on this channel, just started to launch their own travel health insurance. This is purely health insurance. It's 100% in English. It's all digital. It's all through the Getsafe app. And they are actually offering the insurance for free for the first year for partners like us. And because it's just such a cheap product to offer it to the community of internationals. The second year would be 15 euros, but you can cancel anytime.
That is so cool. You mean like by partners like us, meaning like because we are Getsafe's partners, not
Correct.
partners like you and I as partners?
No. Yeah. For partners that we've been working with Getsafe for 5 years now, right?
So kind of like because of our partnership with Getsafe, you as a viewer, if you would like to get travel health insurance, can have the first year for free.
Correct.
And you can sign up to their insurance also by the link in the description below.
You will need a specific code to actually, because you're not really paying anything in that moment, right? You need a specific code, which we will also put in the description. And with that, like we said, you will get the first year for free.
That is super cool. Can I use the code too?
Yeah.
But we already have travel health insurance, so it's not. So I hope that with Yvonne's passion, you have been very, let's say, persuaded or convinced to consider getting travel health insurance, because if you do travel a lot, I mean, you're in Germany, you have vacation days, you probably do travel. And if you travel a lot abroad, it's a no-brainer to just have an extra protection while you're traveling. And again, all the links of everything that we talked about, you can find in the description box below. Until next time,
Tschüss!